In this video, part 2, I'm going to be tasting the Supremo, the Rebel Cask Reposado, and the Edición Especial Vivo. I'm going to taste through all three products. I'm going to compare the official tasting notes from the supplier with how I feel like this product tastes, and then I'm going to be comparing the average retail price in my market and let you guys know the most important question. Are these products worth the money? Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they enjoy so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. Previously, I made a video about the entire Siempre portfolio where I just talked through the kind of production details about the brand and explained how each expression is different from the others. The feedback I received was all about when am I going to taste these? What are your thoughts on tasting these? So I circled back and I'm refilming my Siempre video and I'm breaking into two parts. In part 1, I tasted the Siempre Plata, or their silver, their regular reposado, and their añejo. In this video, part 2, I'm going to be tasting the Supremo, the Rebel Cask Reposado, and the Exclusivo Vivo. The first product is the Supremo. Here's what the bottle looks like. Same kind of uniform packaging, but you can see this label is quite different than the Plata. Beautiful label art. And this is still that kind of heavy hand-blown glass that feels super premium. I wrote an article for my website about the full Siempre portfolio, and I'll link that down below in the description, but I'm just going to read what I wrote for the Supremo. Siempre Supremo is a complex, old-world, high-proof, wild-fermented Blanco tequila made from 100% Tahona crushed Supremo agave, known for its high price and superior sugar content. This product is double distilled in stainless steel with copper parts at the La Cofradía distillery, which is NOM 1137, in Tequila, Jalisco, from 100% Supremo Blue Weber agave sourced from the Los Altos region. I'll touch on what exactly is Supremo agave here in a minute. The agave is cooked in stone and brick ovens, 100% Tahona crushed and open wild air fermented with agave fibers. And if you're not familiar with what a Tahona is a traditional method of crushing cooked agave. It's basically a giant wheel made of rock, historically volcanic rock. Many boutique or super premium brands will use a portion or 100% Tahona crushed agave because many tequila enthusiasts feel that Tahona crushed agave has a huge impact on the final flavor of the tequila versus mechanically crushed or mechanically shredded agave. The water source comes from a volcanic spring. The final product is bottled unaged at still proof between 90 and 110 or 45 to 55% ABV and is verified additive free by Tequila Matchmaker. All right, I wanted to clarify what exactly is Supremo agave. I've worked in the alcohol beverage industry for 9 years and I've sold a lot of tequila brands, and this is one term that I had never come across previously. I reached out directly to an employee from the Siempre brand and this is what they said. Supremo means the agave was harvested at their peak maturity, anywhere from 6 to even sometimes 12 years, hand-picked from every harvest, significantly larger and higher in Brix content. Every time the agave is harvested, we received what's called a guia or GUIA, which shows which location the agave was harvested from and the agave's maturity. These factors determine whether or not we classify the agave as Supremo. Hopefully that sheds a little bit of light about what exactly Supremo agave is and does it have a significant impact on the final product. We'll get to that, I guess, when we get to the tasting component. I actually have 2 different bottles of Siempre Supremo here, so let's just look at the bottling proof. I believe this is the earlier edition because it's batch number 3, bottle number 668, and this is bottled at 47% ABV, so what is that, 94 proof? So the second bottle doesn't even give a batch number, and it says bottle number is 1227/4626. So actually, I'm not quite sure what that means, but I believe this is the more recent bottle that I've acquired, and this is bottled at 55% ABV, so 110 proof. So you can see I have 2 different products here, 2 different bottling proofs, because again, they're bottling this at still proof, meaning it's not diluted with any water before it is bottled. And, with extra proof comes extra flavor. So I'm actually going to be trying these both and letting you know my thoughts on the difference between them. And then this is actually the newer bottle I have. You can see the label art is the same, but it has this kind of sheen to the label art. I just love the label art on these. And you can see some really cool details that kind of highlight the production transparency. And then you have embossing on the back, further embossing here. And I did confirm, so both the bottles I have are distilled at NOM 1137. Let's taste this product. I'm going to start out by tasting the lower proofed option. So this one is bottled at 47% ABV. And I believe this is actually the older bottle that I have. So you can see what they call water white. This product sees no oak. I'm going to read through the tasting notes from the brand. All right, the brand describes the aroma on this as citrus, agave, butter, olive, earth, and pepper. It's got a really nice nose, a little more subtle than I expected, but I think that kind of butter, olive, earth, that might be spot on. I mean, you still get that citrus, agave, a little bit of herbaceousness, that kind of pepper. Definitely getting a good aroma of agave with a little that pop of citrus, but I think that butter, olive, and earth, I mean, that might be spot on. So again, this has a beautiful aroma on the nose, relatively subtle, but also noticeably different than when, last week I smelled the plata. It's very important that you do not confuse the plata or the silver with the Suprema, both of which are unaged. One is bottled at 80 proof and one is bottled at still proof. And again, this one's 47% ABV, so it's going to have a lot more flavor. The palate is described as vanilla, basil, lime, pineapple, ripe fruit, mint, and green olives, balanced with earthy, vegetal, and sweet agave notes. Okay, so that's a pretty complex descriptor for the palate. So let's give it our first sip. You can definitely feel that bump in proof, but I would say the increased alcohol kind of fades pretty quickly on the palate. Again, this is my first sip. It fades pretty quickly, and it's not too much of a shock to the system, and it immediately kind of fades into these flavors. Again, I'm already kind of getting ripe fruit, mint, green olive. I mean, that might be that there's something else there. I'll probably get it on the second sip when my palate is kind of warmed up to the alcohol. I mean, starting your first tasting today with tequila, unaged tequila at 47% ABV might be a slight shock to the palate. I'm sure on that second sip I'll get a lot more of the secondary flavors, but there's something there. There's ripe fruit for sure, and it's not green. When I say green, I don't mean like underripe, overly herbaceous, but that kind of mint, green olive, maybe even basil, lime. Okay, let's revisit this. Oh yeah, second sip, your mouth's already warmed up to the alcohol. It's all flavor, and this has got pretty big flavor. Yeah, maybe this, honestly though, it says sweet agave notes. I find this is a little more vegetal and earthy. I know it says that balanced by earthy, vegetal, and again it's saying that kind of basil, mint, green olive. I think that's really spot on. A lot of silver tequilas that are made at this level, with a really high quality production method, it tends to be kind of a very pure linear agave flavor. You can really taste the roasted agave flavors from that kind of traditional roasting method. But there's something else, and I wonder if that has to do with that agave sourcing. This tastes noticeably different than other super premium silver tequilas I've had. Again, it's going to pack a lot more flavor with that alcohol, but there's something there that makes it distinctly different. And I could see certain agave enthusiasts really liking that subtle difference and other people not. I mean, some people really want those kind of pure traditional flavors that come from, roasted agave. But this is complex. I mean, this definitely has layers of complexity. It's definitely not one dimensional, and you might even, I didn't save any tequila left on my glass. You might even have to revisit this a third time to really separate all those different flavors. This is a very interesting tequila, and this is definitely a tequila for someone with a high degree of experience and somebody that has a pretty good palate for tequila, drinks a lot of tequila, drinks a lot of super premium tequila, and can really have the kind of knowledge and skill set to be able to peel apart those different flavors. The finish is described as a savory and dry finish. It's definitely got a clean finish. It coats your palate pretty well. It's not overly heavy, but it's definitely not as light as some other tequilas I've had that just finish so clean and leave your palate almost refreshed. Maybe it's the increased alcohol, but this definitely hangs on your palate a little more, and there's a little more flavor to chew upon. It's definitely got, I think, a savory finish is a really accurate descriptor here. It's not that overly sweet tequila. Again, there's no additives in this, but you can get a sweet flavor profile without additives from roasting fully mature ripe agave. But this doesn't. I mean, there's definitely no underripeness here. It's not herbaceous, savory. It's just different. It's complex and it's different. And maybe that's what Siempre is going for here. Again, high proof tequila is all the rage right now. There's not that many options in my market. I know Herradura just released their Blanco, not to be confused with their Silver. The Silver spends 45 days in barrel and is bottled at 80 proof for 40% ABV. The Herradura Blanco is bottled at 92 proof, so not quite still proof, but definitely a lot higher ABV and a lot higher proof than most tequilas. Most tequilas, especially here in the United States, are bottled at 80 proof for 40% ABV. So to have a still strength tequila, I think is fascinating because it allows you to really experience the full unfiltered taste of that product without dilution. You might be wondering, how do you drink this? How would you drink a 94 proof silver tequila? Again, you could mix this in cocktails, right? And that proof would definitely hold up in that cocktail. It would make it probably a delicious, simple margarita. But I think something like this, this might be in sipping territory, just not because of the price point, but because of the degrees of complexity and the flavor profile and the higher proof. So if I were to drink this, you might put it on a big rock or over ice and maybe just zest like a little bit of orange, or just a little bit of your citrus of choice to kind of complement those flavors. And I always find that the essential oils from zesting a single piece of citrus really, really helps enhance the flavor profile. A lot of people, that's how they like to drink their Cristalinos. Complex, super premium tequilas, you don't always have to mix them in a margarita or a paloma. You can drink them neat. You can drink them on the rocks, just like a nice whiskey. And the flavors are going to change. Neat versus diluted with a little bit of ice. Hopefully I accurately captured the kind of description of tasting this product. I'm going to move on to the second bottle of Supremo that I have, and this one has a slightly higher bottling proof. All right, second bottle. This one is bottled at 55% ABV, so 110 proof. So now we're going up in proof. I would say it's, even though it has a slightly higher proof, it has the same kind of intensity on the nose, but I'm still getting that kind of butter, olive, almost a little earthy, with some kind of subtle citrus. It's not overly herbaceous. So again, I find, 2 different bottles, 2 different batches, 2 different bottling proofs, but I'm finding a relatively consistent aroma on the nose. Let's give this our first taste on the palate. And so again, the flavor profile for this product is described as vanilla, basil, lime, pineapple, ripe fruit, mint, green olive, balanced with earthy vegetal and sweet agave notes. Oh, big flavor. This feels like just that slight bump in proof. You've really dialed up the flavor a lot more. Even though my mouth was kind of warmed up to the alcohol, I can still feel the bump in proof, but it feels pretty well integrated. You know, you still feel it, still a little boozy. I notice it doesn't, like it coats your palate a lot more, and there's a lot more flavor to kind of chew on, but it takes a bit longer for the flavor to transition from the kind of alcohol into the first wave of flavor. I would say this definitely is still kind of erring on that earthy vegetal, mint, green olive, basil. I don't know if I'm getting any vanilla, but that just might be the proof. And you know, if there's any ripe fruit on this, it's pretty subtle. It's definitely a secondary flavor. So let's give it one more taste. Still not getting any vanilla. That lime is kind of popping out on that second sip. And I could probably see some ripe fruit, but it's not overripe. It's just right. And again, this tastes noticeably different than a lot of tequilas in this kind of price segment in a very enjoyable way. But again, before I move on and talk about pricing, I just always want to kind of highlight who this product's for. This product, not just because of the price point, but because of the flavor profile, is for a more advanced agave or tequila drinker. There's flavors here that are slightly unconventional compared to traditional kind of commercial tequila. And I'm sure that's on purpose, right? You know, Siempre is trying to do things in an interesting way. They're trying to do things in a traditional way, which creates perhaps slightly more interesting or unconventional flavors. So again, this flavor profile, it works. And the higher proof, I think, is super interesting. I think it's very on trend at the moment. And I think tequila connoisseurs and agave nerds are really going to like this because it does taste a little different. And I think you could really sip on this. And I bet if I sipped on this for 15 minutes, especially diluted over a little bit of ice or with some water, I mean, that flavor profile is going to change. It's going to evolve. And it's going to be something noticeably different at the end of it. It changes with dilution. It changes with time. It changes in the glass, just like a fine wine. So I have no doubt. I know I'm perhaps selling this product short by just giving it a couple sips, but I can already tell that this product has more to give, and the flavor profile and the complexity is going to change, you know, and depending on the format in which I'm drinking it. So I find this super interesting. This was a really enjoyable experience. And let's talk pricing. All right, I'm based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm going to be quoting average retail price for my market, but please check your local liquor store for pricing. Every single market's different. So in my market, the Supremo is going to retail somewhere between $60 and $65. So we're well over that $50 price point. So we can be a little more critical of our tequilas. Is this product worth $60 or $65? I'm going to say yes, but the caveat is this product is for perhaps a more advanced tequila drinker or perhaps a more established agave nerd. This is a product that is a little different, you know, not just the bottling proof, but the flavors that come with it and the kind of nerdy production process and the way they're sourcing their agave. So this is a product for a more advanced palate. So it's not just the price point, but it's the flavor profile that is going to elevate this from kind of novice, intermediate, into more advanced territory. So I think if you are an established tequila drinker with a more advanced agave palate, then this product is definitely worth the money for you. So the next product is the Rebel Cask Reposado. So here's what the packaging looks like. Again, another beautiful and interesting label with really cool artwork, and that attention to detail is so cool. And then on this particular bottle, here is your nerdy production transparent details. Love that. Similar to not confusing the Plata with the Supremo, please do not confuse the regular Reposado, which I talked about in the last video, with the Rebel Cask Reposado. What exactly is the Rebel Cask Reposado and how is it different from the regular Reposado? Well, I'm going to continue reading from this article that I wrote for my website. The Rebel Cask Reposado began as a single barrel program. Still, it evolved into a limited series with various releases aged entirely, not just finished, in bespoke oak barrels from around the world. The name refers to a rebellious twist on tradition because each microbatch is unique. It is double distilled in stainless steel with copper parts at La Cofradía Distillery, which is NOM 1137, in Tequila, Jalisco, from 100% Supremo Blue Weber agave sourced from the Los Altos region. The agave is cooked in stone and brick ovens, crushed using a Tahona and screw mill, and open air fermented with agave fibers using a champagne yeast strain. The water source used comes from a volcanic spring. The aging for the Rebel Cask Reposado will vary per barrel based on the series, but could be between 2 and 24 months. The final product is bottled at 84 proof or 42% ABV and is verified additive free by Tequila Matchmaker. And because this product is kind of so different, I'm going to actually read the official description from Siempre. Siempre Rebel Cask is a prohibition-style rebellious range of aged expressions where we age our Siempre Supremo tequila in everything from rare bourbon casks to French dessert wine and even ex-maple syrup barrels. Each batch is dangerously unique and extremely scarce, making Rebel Cask stand out in a traditionally conservative category. Rebel Cask is produced in Tequila, Mexico, where our barrel house has the capacity to house hundreds of unique and lawless expressions. Each lot will always taste different from one another. We use our wild fermented Supremo Plata tequila and fill it into barrels at still strength. The bottle I have here is the United We Stand series, which was aged 8 months in new American oak. The agave quality is Suprema, cooking method brick oven. It looks like this is a bottling batch of 7 barrels. The crushing is Tahona and modified mill. The fermentation is wild with fibers. The water source is volcanic spring. The one I have is batch number LR3072213, bottle number 1133/7626. And this was bottled on Halloween 2022. Okay. And this is bottled at 42% ABV or 84 proof. All right. I'm really excited to try this. I mean, look at the color on this one. So the tasting notes on the brand on this one are a little vague because obviously each batch is going to be different. So it just says notes of oak, cooked agave, hints of vanilla, cinnamon, and various spices. So let's see what this one smells like. You know, you definitely still, even with the color and the oak on this one, like you still get good agave flavor on the nose, but you get some really nice, kind of well integrated, subtle baking spices from that oak. I would definitely say, God, that's really nice. I love when there's a good balance of barrel flavors as well as agave flavors because, you know, I really enjoy both. So let's see how this tastes on the palate. Oh, wow. Big pop of flavor on the palate. That's really good. Ooh, that's really, really good. Definitely a little more barrel forward on the palate. There's some agave in there, but it's definitely the secondary flavor. This is actually very barrel forward. This is really nice. 84 proof is definitely a higher bottling proof than most tequilas that are bottled at 80 proof, but compared to that 110, this feels very light and smooth. But this has good flavor, and it coats your palate well. It's got some good flavor and some good complexity. You know, definitely very barrel forward. But I could get some of that cooked agave flavor, but definitely like baking spices, vanilla, kind of cooked agave, if you talk about like the 3 big flavors on this one. But let's revisit it. That proof is really well integrated. Like it doesn't feel hot at all. Yeah, that is, listen, if you, I mean, I know each of these Rebel Casts are different. If you are a bourbon drinker and also like tequila, I know what you're saying the Añejo is the bourbon drinker's tequila in this series, but this is really good because like you can taste it's got a noticeably different flavor profile than the regular reposado. There's like complex barrel flavors on here that I can't quite put my finger on, and I wonder if it's that smaller batch size or the fact that, I mean, they said they're using new American oak. If you're unfamiliar, bourbon or other American whiskeys by law can only be aged in a new American white oak barrel. So then when that barrel's done, you can't age bourbon in it any further. So a lot of times they're shipped down to Mexico and used to age tequila. So tequila is going to be using used bourbon barrels, second fill, third fill, fourth fill barrels. Sometimes they recharge them, sometimes they don't. But for this to say a new American oak barrel, then that is probably going to explain why it's such a dark color for a reposado. That explains why it's such a barrel forward flavor profile. If you're shopping in the store, you're interested in picking up the Rebel Cask Reposado, definitely read the label and see, you know, what barrels are they using? How is this product different? They're super transparent about the production process. One of the things I love about the brand. And again, each of these are going to taste different, and that's the point. So I think this product is really tasty. It's very enjoyable. I would be very interested in trying other batches and seeing kind of how the changes and the differences between the different Rebel Cask Reposado batches. Let's shift the conversation from the flavor profile on the palate to pricing. In my home market, this product is going to retail somewhere between $65 and $70. So the Supremo, which is the base of this, retails between $60 and $65. This is going to be $65 to $70. Now that we're getting, you know, to almost $70 a bottle for $750 of tequila, I think you can be very objective about, is this product worth the money? I think this product is fascinating. It's got great flavor. It's very enjoyable to drink. But then again, you know, is it worth $70? And I hate to ride the fence, but that all has to do with how much money, how much disposable income do you have to spend on super premium tequila? If money's no object and you just want to explore interesting and enjoyable and drinkable and tasty tequilas, this product is definitely worth the money. If you are a bit concerned about the price point, no way I would pay, you know, over $50 for a bottle of tequila, no matter what sort of specialty release it is. There's tons of incredible options, right? The tequila category is so hot, it's so expansive. There's so many incredible options from so many different brands at every different price point. Please do not feel like you have to feel pressured into spending more money on tequila to get interesting flavor profiles or enjoyable products. If you can afford a $65 to $70 bottle of tequila, I think this product is worth the money and you will not be disappointed. If you are afraid of the price point, don't worry. There are always a million other options that are still very enjoyable and are much more affordable. I just want to put a caveat. I'm filming this April 2025. All the pricing I'm going to be talking about is potentially pre-tariff pricing. A lot of suppliers, if they can afford it, are going to bring in extra inventory from countries like Mexico or maybe even Canada. And so that way they can have extra inventory in hand to sell customers at potential pre-tariff pricing. I have no idea what the future is going to hold in terms of tariffs on distilled spirits, especially from countries like Mexico. And so we'll just have to wait and see. So again, I'm filming this April 2025, and I'm going to be speaking about pre-tariff pricing, and we will just have to wait and see what the future holds in terms of the pricing of tequila. The final product I'm going to be talking about is the Edición Especial Vivo. So as you can see, noticeably different bottle. The rest of the bottles are that kind of hand-blown, textured glass, short. This bottle is traditional glass, and it has that kind of sleek, clean wine bottle style packaging. And it's got this really cool kind of parchment style label that I think looks really good. And let's look at the back here. Beautiful packaging. I love kind of wine bottle packaging. You see this all the time on bourbon. You know, anytime brands shift from those kind of unique bottles that are short or they're square or they're flat into this kind of, you know, equal rare style bottle. I honestly really like it. So let's read this tag. Oh, and also there's some wax top. And let's read this. Please excuse the mess. Notice, the wax we use to seal this bottle is eco-friendly. Being free of resin, toxic dye, and synthetic ingredients will cause it to crumble when opening or shipping. When ordered online, we apologize in advance for the mess. The bats, bees, birds, and soil who all contribute to making this beautiful tequila, thank you. I'm going to read once again from our article about the Vivo. The Vivo is an ultra-limited yearly expression that draws production inspiration from mezcal and Peruvian pisco. It is slowly distilled in copper pot stills with the live yeast at the Feliciano Vivianico de Sociedades Distillery, which is NAM 1414, in Arandas, Jalisco, from 100% Blue Weber agave sourced from El Chivo in Arandas. The agave is cooked in stone and brick ovens, crushed using low-pressure roller mills in open air while fermented with classical music. Usually when fermentation is complete, there is no more sugar to convert into alcohol. The active or live yeast will die off before distillation. What sets Vivo apart is they distill using live yeast, so they do not let the fermentation end before distillation. The water source is a deep well water, and the final product is bottled unaged and uncut with any water dilution at 95 proof or 47.5% ABV, and is verified additive-free by Tequila Matchmaker. Looking at the packaging, it's NAM 1414, Exclusivo Edición Especial Vivo, bottled at 47.5% ABV. Looks like this was created in 2021. And the bottle I'm drinking is batch number 1, bottle number 8009. Cool. Very excited to revisit this. Before I get into the tasting component of this, I'm going to briefly read what the brand says about this product. Siempre Exclusivo Vivo is a unique tequila, part of our Exclusivo series that offers ultra-limited expressions each year. This expression references an old Hispanic Peruvian production method of distilling live yeast, a technique either lost or only now applied in the tequila world. Created in partnership with renowned master tequilero Sergio Cruz and International Tequila Academy founder Adam Fodor. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sorry if I'm not Adam. And this is Siempre's most exclusive tequila to date. As soon as I poured this, the aroma is just jumping out of the glass. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's read the official tasting notes from the brand. The aroma is cooked agave with a touch of pepper balanced by fresh fruit and honey. I would definitely say fresh fruit and honey. I mean, like when you make like a fruit salad and you cut that fruit super fresh right there and then serve it along with just like a drizzle of honey. That's what this smells like. I mean, you're still getting a lot of agave flavor, right? There's no barrel to mask that. Touch of pepper, like bright pepper, not that kind of like overly green herbaceous pepper. God, this is a big nose and a really nice aroma. I mean, really nice aroma. As you can see, I can't stop smelling it. Okay, the flavor profile on the palate is described as notes of silky butter, citrus, and subtle herbal undertones. So let's give it its first taste. Oh, that is big, big, big on the palate. Really big on the palate. Ooh, really big in a good way. I mean, if you are a serious tequila drinker, you are going to love this. Silky butter. I'm not getting quite the butter that I got on the Supremo. Citrus, subtle herb undertone. I think that's really accurate. It's got this really like pronounced herbal flavor that I think is more than an undertone. I would say it's almost like a primary flavor, but it works. And a lot of times herbal can be very off-putting because people think it's like almost vegetal, underripe, too green. But this is really nice. When I say herbal, I mean like a herb garden of fresh herbs where the herbal flavor feels very fresh and vibrant. And I still think there's citrus on it, but again, like if I had to put the flavors on there, it's like herbal, again, like a really good herbal, citrus. I'm not quite getting that silky butter, but let's revisit this. Oh, that just coats your whole palate. The bottling proof is super well integrated into that flavor profile. It's got a big flavor. I'm looking for it, and I'm still not getting that silky butter. Regardless, this is super complex. Very different than anything else we've drank. And I would say even within the tequila category, this is very different than anything else I've drank. The finish is described as long and smooth. Definitely agree with that. Leaving a warm and satisfying complexity. Very accurate. Long finish, complex finish, but there's this smooth cleanness to it. It doesn't leave the palate like refreshed. There's so much flavor. The flavor kind of like hangs on your palate for a bit and you can kind of chew it, but in a good way. And it doesn't feel taxing on the palate, but there's like so much flavor here that you're trying to like taste all the different components and figure it out. But I would say like the alcohol, the primary and secondary flavors, come in these waves, and it finishes nice and long. Everything kind of flows nicely on the palate. And the bottling proof, the alcohol, it's not boozy. Everything, I would just say, yeah, satisfyingly complex. That's probably a really accurate description here. Who's this product for? We'll talk about pricing in a second. This product is definitely for your advanced tequila drinker. And I'm not even referring to price. I mean the flavor profiles here. This is a sipping tequila with a ton of complexity, produced in a very interesting and unique way. And I would say you have to be a very serious tequila drinker or big agave nerd to really be able to appreciate this. And I think this product is incredibly enjoyable. I would say it's dramatically different than any other tequila that I've ever had. In my home market, this product retails somewhere between $98 and $107. Okay, we're getting to $100 for a $750 of tequila. Is this product worth the price? I'm still going to stand firm and say it is. Again, this product is not for everyone, right? Even if you can afford a $100 bottle of tequila, this product still might not be for you. If you are a serious tequila drinker, big agave nerd, and you demand a lot from your tequila, both in terms of the complexity on the flavor profile, but as well as kind of transparency and innovation in the production method, this is your product. I mean, this product is fascinating. The way they make it, the way it tastes, the beautiful packaging. I definitely think this product is worth the money. Again, this product is not for everyone. And there's lots of people that, couldn't even fathom paying $100 for a bottle of tequila that is unaged. And that's perfectly fine. The nice thing about having 6 products from Siempre is you get a range of prices and a range of styles. And there's, even if you just want to stay within the Siempre brand, there's probably something for you. We focused on the kind of 3 core products in the first video. In the second video, we're focusing on their kind of 3 special products. And this is really cool. This product, super unique, very enjoyable, incredibly complex. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And it was really cool to be able to drink all 3 of these special products back to back to back and kind of see the differences. I love high proof tequila, not just bringing back traditional methods, but also blending production methods from other spirit styles. Like I said, they draw heavily on Peruvian pisco, when creating this product. I just think that's super cool. Creates really interesting conversations about distilled spirits. Again, not for everyone. Thank you so much again for watching. I'm going to end this video here. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and consider subscribing. If you do not care about the video component of this material, please consider subscribing to my podcast. It's just the audio component of these educational and review videos. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content on my website or this YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. If you are a supplier and you are interested in featuring one of your products on my channel, please shoot me an email. I'll leave a link below in the description. And finally, if you have feedback, questions, you just want to get in touch, please consider sending me an email. I personally read every single email I receive, and I do my best to respond to all of them that I can. If you have any sort of feedback, obviously you're always welcome to leave a comment. I always read the comments, and I actually have adapted some of my material to some of the feedback I got in the comments. But if you want to go a little more in depth, or you want to go one-on-one, shoot me an email. I'll leave a link below in the description. And finally, if you'd like to support this channel further, please consider becoming a Patreon member or gift me a cocktail through the link below in the description. Thank you so much again for your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.